Studio production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, and I am thrilled today to have a neighbor of the Community Foundation joining us for today's program. On Community Foundation Spotlight, we like to highlight organizations doing good work in the community and helping to connect people who care to causes that matter. Mm-hmm. And Horizons, Salisbury Horizons, is certainly one of those. Yvonne Terry, Executive Director, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, I mentioned that you're a neighbor of the Community Foundation, and
we are so happy about that.
It's relatively new, so I hope folks know that you've moved, but you're right there in the East Park Professional Center with us, and we're really happy to have you in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Salisbury Horizons and what Horizons does for our community.
Well, do you have 2 hours?
We have all the time we need.
Horizon Salisbury in itself is an awesome organization that provides academic enrichment, learning activities, cultural activities for students K through 12.
Now, one of the things that I always find most interesting about the approach that Horizons takes is that you really work with a targeted number of students. And talk a little bit about how you bring participants into the program and how you work with them over time.
Yes, you're exactly right. We work with a targeted number of students, and how that works is we work in cooperation with the Wicomico County Board of Education and the instructors and the administration to target or to identify those students who may be struggling, who have the potential but may be struggling in certain areas if they do not keep up that career of learning. And so we partnership with them, and then they identify the students. These are students in free and reduced meal schools, public, Wicomico County public schools, and they let us know which students may be struggling so that we can bring them into the program, and then we can make sure that they are continue to be on track, and we can close that academic gap that may happen during the summer. It's so common for a lot of students to fall behind during the summer because we knew when we were students we don't want to learn. We don't want to learn during the summer. So what this does is it helps those students who may not have the opportunity to go and visit museums or do things that would continually keep them engaged academically.
Now, when students are identified, because I know you work closely with the board and you depend heavily on the insight and experience of teachers in local schools who are seeing these children that have all of this potential and for some reason or another are struggling to keep pace with the academic requirements. Most of the time you bring them in as rising first graders, which means coming out of kindergarten going into first?
Yes, that's correct. That's exactly right. We start with the rising first. They're just leaving kindergarten, and we work with those same students all the way through. So we go through first, second, third, all the way through.
And so as long as they stay in the county, because that's another interesting approach that you all have, is that anywhere in the county, if a student's going to Pinehurst and then they move to Prince Street or then
that's awesome.
They can still continue to stay in Horizons as long as they're within the county, and each summer come back. Tell me about, we're sort of coming, it's back to school, getting into the start of the school year, and pretty soon the summer will be a distant memory.
Can you believe it? It's gone.
But that means that you're wrapping up a summer program, but also preparing for next year. So for a viewer who's not familiar with Horizons, tell me about a typical, and I know there aren't any typical days, everything's different, but give me an example of a typical day for an elementary student that's participating in Horizons summer program.
Sure. First of all, though, for those who are not familiar with Horizons, it's important to let them know that, yes, we do have like maybe 3 to 4 core programs. Our first core program is the summer learning program, which is the 6 weeks that you're referring to, where the students come in and have intensive learning. And then we also have the academic connections, which carries through the school year where they receive tutoring, and then we have the high school program. So getting back to the 6 weeks that they just finished, they started June 27th and they finished August 5th. And they went through 6 weeks of structured learning, education, cultural activities, that kind of daily structure. And what a day looked like for a Horizons student was they started out very early. They got on that bus like 6 o'clock in the morning to bring them to our 2 campus sites, which are the Salisbury School campus and our new site, Salisbury University campus. And they would come into school. Well, I call it school, but they would come into Horizons, and they had a set schedule. It was, like a daily schedule, just like in your regular classroom, of what would happen. They'd first eat breakfast. They'd get off the bus and eat breakfast, and then they would go to their classroom and they would do their core learning, their STEM activities, their science and math and reading and all of those activities. And then they would follow that with some type of cultural activity that they would incorporate in during the day. And if it was on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, they would do swimming in the morning. Swimming is a core part of the summer learning enrichment program, and that is so that students not only get to have fun and and cool off during the hot summer days, but so that they can build confidence building skills and
the
it can
huge
build their
safety
character.
component as well.
Yes,
So many
yes.
children who haven't had access or
Yes.
had that opportunity.
Absolutely.
And it's nice that Horizons is able to bring sort of the typical summer camp experience,
Yes.
but also really focus that
On learning.
maintaining that learning over the summer.
Right. So they would start out from 8:30 and go straight through the day to 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're with Community Foundation Spotlight, and we're with Yvonne Terry, who's the director at Horizons here in Salisbury. You were just talking about the 2 campuses now that you have, which is,
Yes.
a wonderful expansion.
Exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about the partnerships that really make Horizons possible, because
Okay.
you're part of this. You're part of a national program,
Right.
So
Horizons
Horizons is here in Salisbury, but part of a larger national effort. But it really is the local partnerships that make it
Oh,
work.
absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't do it without the local partnerships. And we're always looking to build on those partnerships. And currently, the partnership that we have that is solid and we're dependent upon is that relationship with the Wycomico County Board of Education, because it gives us access to those students who need our services. And then they also provide in-kind services that we couldn't afford on our own, such as the bus transportation to and from both of the campus sites. And so, they do an awesome job, and we're so thankful for that. And then we also have the partnerships with the Salisbury School, which we couldn't do our program without them as
The
well.
facility, the facility
Right.
itself, and having
Right.
that available in that amazing space, both
Right.
there and at Salisbury
At
University.
Salisbury University, yes, because they allow us access to the classrooms, to their computer labs. They just give us carte blanche to do what we need to do to teach the students.
Now, between the 2 campuses that you currently have in place, about how many kids are you serving in a typical summer program through Horizons?
Yeah, we do a total of about 132 students this summer. That's an increase over last year of 24 students with the new campus that we added at Salisbury University. We added 2 new classrooms, which is a total of 24 students, first graders and 4th grade. And then at the Salisbury School, we have 107.
And you mentioned that you work with them, so this is a year-round
Oh, yes,
effort, and so
yes.
you have programs that you do with students throughout the school year with tutoring, and talk a little bit
Exactly.
about how that helps maintain that both momentum for their learning, but also the relationships between them and Horizons.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a really good point that you bring up, and that's what makes Horizon so unique, because we do stay with those same students throughout their whole academic career. And during the school year, we want to let them know that we're here for them. If they should need tutoring in any subject, because, we all know, been there, hit that brick wall if we can't, understand something. And so we provide tutors, and then we also partner again. We're looking to a partnership with Wycomico Mentoring Project so that we can provide that mentorship. In the past, we've provided coaches, academic coaches for the high school program, but for the elementary school kids, we continue to provide tutoring and in the way of the school year, that they have tutoring available inside the schools, and we point those students in that direction so that they can get the necessary tutoring that they need. And then we follow up with their GPAs and their grades, and specifically their families. We connect with their families and with their parents. Their parents can call Horizons at any time and say, my child is needing a little bit of assistance with this subject. How can Horizons help? And so that's when we step in and say, they have that tutoring activity going on over here, or we can provide this help for you.
And Horizons has been working in the community long enough now at this point that you've actually had graduates that have gone all the way through Horizons. And so certainly those individuals are, sort of visual opportunities of the success of the program. But you look beyond just those sort of, the big accomplishment, and you're tracking on an annual basis the real impact that Horizons has on students' GPAs who are in Horizons versus those who are not able to participate, and can see the difference that it makes. How does that help you from, sort of a funding perspective and getting people involved? Because I know that you're, a beneficiary of United Way funding, and they always highlight the tremendous measurable impact they see from you. Why is that component so important for Horizons?
It's absolutely important because that also shows us, okay, are we doing the right thing? Do we need to be adjusting our mission? Do we need to be adjusting our objectives? By finding out what their GPA is, not only their GPA, but just their attendance, their behaviors towards school and learning, all of those things tie in together. And what that shows us is that those 6 weeks of summer, it's working. And the academic connections, it's working. The high school program, it's working. Because when we bring those numbers and we look at those numbers, and you're right, their GPA stays at 3.0 or slightly above in comparison to their peers, to their non-Horizon peers. And so what it helps Horizons do as an organization is to present this information to our funders, to our donors like United Way, to our community foundation partners, and to let them know that what we're doing, what the Horizons program is doing, is working.
And that it's a good investment.
Yes, it's an excellent investment.
Now let's talk a little bit about that, because every nonprofit has similar challenges. We may be working different missions and working with different populations of either people who need services or our donor pool, but there are some common needs. One of those is funding. You mentioned that you're working with local partners like the Community Foundation. I know you have an endowment fund. You're also a United Way agency. How can people who are hearing about Horizons or have been reminded about the wonderful work that you do, how can they get involved to help further your mission?
Yes, totally tuition free. The students, the 132 students we were speaking of, they are part of Horizons tuition free. So what that means is Horizons as an organization has to raise that money. And so we are so dependent on the community, and we know that it takes all of us to raise the children today and to make sure that they have the education that they need. So we ask for the community to create awareness about Horizons and the work that Horizons does in order to support that budget that we need in order to provide the teachers who are certified and who are A1 instructors on helping the students to learn. We have a budget of well over $260,000 a year for these 3 critical programs, and how they can get involved, of course, is to provide a sponsorship or a funding for one student. It costs about $2,000 for us to take care of one student for the entire school year. And so what they can do is they can give, and during our annual appeals, we put out our annual appeals in the spring and the fall. They can give for year-end charity giving. They can give to the Community Foundation, donor advised funds. They can give to the United Way, and all that trickles back down. They can also help Horizons directly by giving a direct contribution, or they can help when we have Horizons Giving Day in March. There's so many different ways
And one
that
of the
they can
things,
give.
and that's, I think, a real strength of organizations today, Horizons included, is thinking about how you diversify both your
Right.
volunteer base, your
Right.
contributions, how you're funding your organization. So I know you do a variety of events throughout the year. You have a
Yes.
giving day. You
Yes,
do
we
a
have a
big
giving
annual
day.
push. For people who want to stay connected and hear what the latest, greatest news is at Horizons, what's the best way for them to connect to you?
Sure, absolutely. The website is Horizons with an S, Salisbury, all one word, horizonssalisbury.org. Try to put as much information on there as we can as to what's coming up and the activities, and lots of pictures so that they can see all the things that happened this past summer. And then as we go through the high school program this year, we'll continue to take the pictures and they can see all of that. And then they can get detailed information of exactly what the costs are and how we break that down for swimming, because we have to rent the pool and all of those kind of things.
And a phone number if they want to give you a call?
Okay, for 410-572-4046.
And I think when you see the impact of Horizons and you see the smiles on the kids' faces,
Oh my gosh,
and you
Erica,
watch them,
it's amazing.
And when I came to your most recent annual meeting, I don't know if, I think I relayed this when I was there, but it was really sort of serendipitous for us because one of the students that was helping during the summer program, I think she was serving as like a teacher's assistant.
Yes, yes.
She was a young lady who had received some scholarship support through the
Wow.
Community Foundation,
Wow.
through our Hazel Scholarship Fund. And so it was just so nice to see that sort of combination of different impacts of the foundation, and it's sort of all manifesting there at the Horizons program, and sort of just that community that you build there, and that you know, relationships between the school system, between the nonprofit sector, to serve local kids. In the little bit of time that we have left, are there things that are coming up that you want to highlight? Are there pieces that I didn't ask you about that you'd like to make sure that you share? You know, just to make sure that if someone's hearing about Horizons for the first time, that they can be inspired to sort of stay engaged.
Yeah, I just like to just reiterate the importance of educating our children, and that every child has that right. And the children that Horizons is working with, the students that we're working with, one of our board members, Margie Meek, she always said, and it really stuck with me, that the children that are coming through the Horizons program are the children, the students that will be in our community, and they'll be leaders of our community. So we want to make sure that they are well educated and that they're able to use the skills that they have and that they've been able to apply and bring that into the workforce as they start their work in the community, in the Salisbury area and the surrounding areas that they live and work in. And then also just to let the viewers know that Horizons Salisbury is a nonprofit organization now. We received our nonprofit status last year, December of 2015, and so what that means is now we have a whole bigger pie that we need to support, and that we need in-kind support, we need monetary support, we need all of those things tied together so that we can continue a successful program, and hopefully, because we still have students on the waiting list, so hopefully we can bring those students off of the waiting list and we can grow our programs on both campuses.
And certainly, you know, a fantastic goal, and we're happy to help promote and support that growth in any way that we can.
Thank
One
you.
last thing, for folks who want to find you on the internet,
Yes.
can you share your website, and we'll make sure
Sure.
to put it on there for them to see as well?
Sure. It's Horizons with an S, Salisbury, all one word, .org.
Excellent.
Very easy.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, for your time today. I
Thank you
really
for having me.
appreciate you sharing information and helping to
Absolutely.
spread the word on Horizons.
Absolutely.
You've been watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, and we'll see you next time.